watching Overdrive. BMW has given the a host of mechanical updates which makes the car better to drive, but it also looks nicer than the previous generation model. Here's Tuhin with more.
The X5 is what first comes to mind when you think of a BMW SUV. It set the template that's been followed by all the other SUVs from this brand that have followed since. But when this generation came out a few years ago, we were left wondering that maybe the focus had skewed a bit more towards luxury rather than driver involvement. But there's been a fairly extensive midlife update to this model now, so let's see what the X5 stands for now. The X5 now looks leaner and sharper, largely down to the slimmer headlamps with their crisp blue detailing. The large grille is still quite traditional by current BMW standards, but the backlighting at night has you more than covered for presence. On the sides, more gloss black has seemingly condensed this SUV's quite large mass, but these new 21-inch M Sport wheels with their blue calipers are some of the more exciting looking ones we've seen on an SUV lately. They're quite simple bodywork otherwise, doesn't seem too far out of sync with the new face. The tail lamps too have been condensed to recreate the new L-shaped 3D signature found in newer BMW models like the X1, while the bumper too has been made less fussy. Thankfully, a pair of fat exposed exhaust tips amp up the sense of performance with this version. The X5's staple split boot lid remains intact though, with the added benefits to practicality that brings. Now the big change with this update on the inside of the X5 is that you now get this curved iDrive 8 display. It's got that 14.9-inch central touchscreen and this 12.3-inch driver's display. What has also changed, as you can see, is this new central panel. It's been taken from the 7 Series and the i7 with the very minimalistic vents over here. So you have this textured wood, the very soft leather and that impeccable sense of build quality. And you have this ambient light insert over here as well, which some might find a bit over the top, but to be honest, at night it gels with the light package pretty well. Now, among other changes, you have this new crystalline elements. Again, you've seen this in other BMW models, and that's come down here too with this new toggle type shifter. The iDrive 8 infotainment system has seen some updates to address functionality. You now have a more intuitive home screen and the touch climate controls have been simplified, addressing some of our earlier complaints with this system. Further, with the older rotary dial retained, this execution of the iDrive is probably the best BMW currently does. Now, if you want to buy the X5, of course, the back seat will be of great importance to you, and to be honest, you will not be disappointed here. To start with, there's quite a bit of space. This seat is set to my driving position, and as you can see, there's a reasonably good amount of knee room and leg room. You can sort of put your feet under the seat here in front, so that's not a problem. And the seat itself, it's quite flat, and this middle section doesn't have an extremely high hump, so 3 people here should fit comfortably, and even under thigh support is reasonably good. It could have been a bit more, we think, especially considering how comfortable the front seats are. That being said, the seat back itself is very nicely done. It's got a nice soft cushioning to it. It doesn't recline all that much, which is a slight drawback. But again, it's got a decent amount of contouring too, so you will not be uncomfortable. And of course, like in the front, there's great practicality too. You have a 12-volt power outlet, 2 Type-C ports here, a nice space to maybe put your phone here, and if you want to say plug in a device, there's another Type-C port here for each of the seats. Also helping lift the ambience is the vast list of features. You get soft closed doors, heated and cooled front seats, wireless Android Auto, Apple Carplay, and a head-up display being the highlights. As for safety, you get some degree of ADAS features like a collision avoidance system, lane departure warning, and driver attention function. You also get a crisp set of 360-degree cameras and hill descent control. Start driving the BMW X5 and you're greeted with a very typically SUV driving position. So you sit quite high up, there's an expansive view, the pillars aren't too large, so you can see out of it very well. But what must be mentioned are these seats. They're very comfortable, but what really takes it up a notch, aside from the heating and cooling functions that the seat offers, is the level of adjustment. So you don't just get to adjust the extendable squabs for your thighs, you also get to adjust the side bolstering, and even the seat back itself tilts forward. But what really stands out as soon as you start driving the X5 is the level of refinement. It's genuinely exceptional. You have really no way of saying that this is a diesel, at least on the inside. The engine, if you notice right now, is nearly silent. There's no grumbling or any vibrations coming through the pedals or any through the footwell like how you might expect in even a very good diesel like this one. Then comes the equally impressive slug of performance from the reworked 3-litre inline-6 diesel in this X-Drive 30D variant. The motor now makes 286 PS and 650 Nm, but more significantly, you now have 12 PS and 200 Nm of mild hybrid assistance. There's a new sprint mode which, gimmicky name aside, exploits this performance well. It puts the engine and gearbox in its most aggressive setting for a short burst that makes overtakes and other maneuvers easier still. With the more flexible powertrain, the X5 doesn't feel too restrained in Eco Pro or too snappy in Sport. And then tying this quite potent powertrain choice together is the ride and handling character of this new X5. And it must be said here again, BMW has done some really good job, especially with the way this car rides, considering it's got these massive 21-inch wheels. And the only sort of giveaway that it's running such big tires is, say, when you go over a deepish pothole or a ditch, that's when you notice a slightly hard thud, but over everything else, it just glides over, just smooths over the bumps, even on our quite tricky roads very well. Priced at Rs 1.32 crore on road for this version, the new X5 is a pricey proposition, but there's something here for everyone. It's got the comfort and luxury bit covered, in ways better than some rivals with its long features list and well-appointed cabin. The drivetrain is about as polished as you'd want from a car, and to top that, it also retains that driving sparkle that you want from a BMW.
We've also driven the bigger SUV from BMW, the X7. That's a story for next week. We'll take a very quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we'll tell you all about the TVS X electric scooter.